there's this one project that was using a lot of pictures taken by that. And it was an astronomer who was trying to do some analysis on galaxies. And he only had a staff of 14 grad students. And he's wondered if he did something similar to Goldcorp, and he published all this information, he thought maybe there'd be another couple dozen, maybe 100 people that would be interested in helping him to do this. So he did the same thing. He published this information. So it was millions of pictures of galaxies. And he also had a 15-minute tutorial on galactic morphology. And anybody in this room, if you took that, you would be able to do the analysis you needed, which is basically look at a picture of a galaxy and tell me if it is spiral, so we're in a spiral galaxy, or if it's elliptical. And if it is spiral, which way it's turning. That's all he wanted to know. And after 15 minutes, everybody in this room would be much better than a computer at that pattern recognition. So he was hoping maybe his dream was to get, if they got an extra 100 people. And BBC picked this up and they published, and they had 80,000 people that were interested in joining the program. And those 80,000 people looked at 10 million of these galaxies and had them arranged. And it actually went beyond what they were hoping, because there wasn't just those two. People found out there was ringed galaxies, and there were spiral galaxies that had 3 different legs from it. And when we worked on the book, we kept asking this question, well, what incented you to do this? And usually we ask that question, we got this blank look, or a look that felt sorry for us, because we were clearly a little bit dim to be asking something. And in this case, we said, why wouldn't I do it? Instead of watching TV tonight, I helped science. And not only did I help science, I looked at a piece of space that no other human being had ever looked at before. The first one is marketing. So really have people as engaged customers that become ambassadors for your program. So Maker's Mark is a good example of that. They have a very, very good ambassadors program where people that go up to the parties and they said, here's what we should drink. And they're actively selling the brand. And the middle one, the Mozilla symbol, does anybody know what it is, what medium that art is? It's a little bit light on it. Can you tell what that is? So it's a crop circle. So it's a 144,000 square foot place. It's wonderful if you actually Google that, seeing the steps when they went through it of making that up. And Mozilla is made up mostly by fans, and people are that passionate about it. Tattoos are another one. I mean, Harley Davidson looks at one of its key marketing metrics. How many new tattoos do we get this year? Now, that tattoo looks fake, and I think it is, but Apple's a whole new thing. How many Apple users are there in the room? So you're much cooler than the rest of us, right? You can be polite to your colleagues, but we know you actually think that you are. So Apple has done a wonderful part of it. And now this next thing is actually not true, but I love it. It came from The Onion. So it's a play on the Emperor's New Clothes. And Apple claims new iPhone only visible to the most loyal of customers. And actually, I encourage you to look this up and actually read through, and it talks in about how this amazing thing they have on these non-existent phones. Here, this is Professor Donald Mitchell, and he is one of the top 10 reviewers on Amazon. So you know when you're on Amazon, sometimes you see that, the little badge people have of being a top 10 reviewer or a top 100 reviewer. And he's been #1 at one point, and he's very, very powerful. So he gets dozens of books sent to him every week by authors who would like him to review it. He was actually featured in our book, didn't review it. But what he says is if he gets a book where he wouldn't normally review it, he will, as long as you make a donation to Habitat to Humanity. And I think he's raised almost $300,000 for that now. And that, by the way, does not guarantee you a good review, just that he will look at it. So very, very powerful man, and it's very important to him. We're talking about badging, and having that badge of being a top 10 reviewer is very, very important to these guys. Any video game players in the room? You can admit it. Am I the only one? So this game, if games like this, if you're good at it, if you're a skilled player, it takes you about 60 hours of gameplay to make it through. For research purposes, I finished this game. And it took me 4 years. And all my 20-something employees were appalled by this. And I actually scheduled holiday time to finish this. So these games aren't quite linear, but there are parts where you get stuck and you can't make it past. And so what's happening, there's something that's called a walkthrough. And that's a very, very detailed guideline to how to finish the games, all done by amateurs. If you bought this game, it comes with a 16-page instruction manual. If you rent this from, say, Blockbuster, they would have lost that manual many renters ago. And on the back, the only instructions you get for this is press triangle to get into a car and wait for future instructions. So what a walkthrough is this very, very detailed instruction book. It would have strategies, where there'd be hidden treasure, where there's extra weapons, different cars, cheat codes, and all this type of thing. And it's very competitive amongst the people in the community to make the best walkthrough. And the first one is online 48 hours after the game came out. So we interviewed one person who was put together one of the best ones of these. His name is Chase Ansock. And his walkthrough was more than a 100,000 word document. So that would be a 320, 330-page book if it was printed out. And we asked him, why did you do this? We get the same vacant look. Like, how can I be in research if I'm so clueless that would act such a book? And he says, I'm a very important person in this field. It's fun to put together, and I like having the best one. So he doesn't work for PlayStation. He doesn't work for Rockstar Games. But he adds a lot of value, because people like me that take 4 hours to think of the game need his help to get through these, and he improves the experience of people that are playing the game.